Fellowship Scholar for 2018 and 19, which is provided by JNCASR. And I have also been a research intern at ISA Mohali Bioecology Lab for 2018 and 2019. And I have also been a research intern at Insect Reproduction Lab, Deshbandhu College. So now I'll start with the webinar. So today's webinar is focused on the present day scenario, like we are all under lockdown. So what we can do as a contribution for nature conservation and researches. So I will proceed. So let us talk about some common citizen science platforms. So citizen science is like various online platform where you can contribute by providing some data, because it is not possible for a single researcher to to build up all the data from various parts of the country or the world. So this helps researchers to create data, and also in turn uh, it helps in the conservation projects. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you.
You
So
are.
sorry. So this application here, it is called ZeroCam. So this application here, you can contribute your recordings, which you have recorded the call of the birds, and also you can collect the data from here. This app gives you a good quality and authentic recordings of the bird sounds and calls. And this one here, the BNHS Bird Band app. So this app is for like when you photograph any bird which is ringed or which is banded, and you are able to access that code which is written on the band. So you can download this app, register there, and put the information of the bird to this app. So this way, the researchers build the data of migration. Okay, this bird was ringed in America and it is spotted in India this year, this month. So it helps us to build the migration data in case of birds. And yeah, so the other common platform is eBird. I think many of you have heard about it before. So this is an application which you can download at your mobile or your PC, whatever, and you can post your, or you can donate your data of bird spottings from various places. And the next one is this Bioacoustica. So this application is for the calls and the songs of not only birds but other taxa also. Like as we know, orthopterans, the crickets and the katydids, they also produce sounds. So in this app, Bioacoustica, you can donate your recordings of the any taxa, and also you can get the data also. And next one, this the Green Bird. Uh, so this one is the iNaturalist app. So here you can also contribute your data regarding any taxa which you spot wherever in the country or wherever in the world. And this next one, Biodiversity India. So here also you can submit your recordings or your spottings of various birds, insects, arachnids, entomognathan, everything. So and also uh, you can build a bird house uh, other than submitting your data. In these days of lockdown, you can also build a bird house and utilize your time in the lockdown. So these are a few the dimensions of the birdhouse which I have written. You can take snapshots. So this is the dimensions for the birdhouse, which is made in like the hut shape. So you can take the snapshots wherever you think necessary. The major characteristic property of the birdhouse is that uh, the key is the size or the diameter of the entrance hole. So nowadays we are putting bird houses for sparrows and other small birds, which are like which their population are declining very drastically. So for sparrow and other related birds like Indian silverbills and other related birds like munias and avadavids, you can this the diameter of the hole as 2 inches, and the hole should be 7 inches above from the base of the birdhouse. And this is the of the birdhouse, or you can observe it 6 to 7 inches. So I've discussed about the heart-shaped birdhouse, and there is one common type of birdhouse is also which is rectangular. I'll request the participants to please mute uh, to switch off their mics at least, so it goes here. Uh, yeah. So these now I'll discuss the dimensions of the rectangular type of birdhouses. So there is nothing very much to explain. So keep on taking snapshots. So these dimensions are for the small birds like sparrow and silverbills and munias. So moving on, here also the diameter of the hole should be 2 inches. And one more important thing, uh, these holes, which are mentioned as zero point 0.8 inches to 2 inches, these holes are made for the ventilation. So these are also very important. Don't forget them while you are making a birdhouse. So not only you can make these sophisticated birdhouse with ply or wood blocks, but you can go to your storeroom and search for the material which you can use for making birdhouse. For example, see this one. The first one is the birdhouse made from the shoe box, and birds do use them. I have a few pictures and videos where birds are living in there, and this where the sparrows are sitting, the pipe, the PVC pipe bird house, and these then picture bird house also, which the kalash which we use in the ritual, the religious rituals, like, and these are some toffee boxes. So I mean, you can make bird house with whatever material is used is available with you at your home. You don't need to go outside and buy something extra. And also put bird feeders. Not need to make these sophisticated ones, but just put a plate or a bowl sort of thing and put some grains in it. So focus on millets like the millet and the quinoa and all. Put them in the bowl or spread them on your roof, and also put water baths on your garden and on your roofs and in the gardens. So if you think like these makes no changes, or these things have no very good effect, so let us watch a video. It's kind of a case study of Britain, where they have put all the bird houses and bird feeders and bird baths. So let's see what impact it has. Is the video visible to everyone? Okay.
Yes, visible.
can't see the videos.
Sorry. Is it visible to everyone, the video?
Not to me.
So I think, is there a internet problem with your device?
Maybe.
Please check. Otherwise, don't worry, I'll discuss it. So, as you have seen this case study from Britain, the people have made an effort, and this resulted in not only the increased population of the bird species, but also their health have also increased. The beak size is increased. The the body size is also increased. So it does make a. So please do it. Make bird baths, put bird feeders and bird houses in and around your home houses. So now I'll talk about insect gardening. So the basic thing about insect gardening is plant native trees and don't cut the weeds, which we say, okay, these are weeds, cut them and we'll plant fancy trees instead. So please don't do that. There is distribution of flora and fauna in the whole, which is which have reason. So don't cut the native plants. Focus on native plants only. Plant them, and you will see within few months the population. You will see the buzzing bumblebees and butterflies and moths are like flying around you. So plant native trees and other things, not native trees.
The voice is not so clear. It is lagging too much.
Is it same for all? The people is lagging.
We can see the slides, but you are not audible clearly.
I'll request again to everyone to please mute their mics.
Actually, all mics are muted. I've been muted.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, yeah, plant native trees, but also focus on few extra plants which have like beautiful, attractive flowers. So they serve as nectar feeders for butterflies and other taxa like the hoverflies and the flower flies, etc. And plant some host trees for the insects and the butterflies in your area. I'll tell you about the host plants later in this presentation. uh, okay, moving on. Yeah, in your garden try to make or any artificial small water body also, because it helps the odonates and other aquatic coleopterans, the beetles and the bugs to reproduce there, because many of them have their larval stage or the whole life is aquatic. So, and also make an open area where the mud is exposed. So this helps. This is used for the process of mud puddling. So mud puddling is the process where butterflies take the extra minerals from the soil. So it is also necessary, and if and also put some rotten fruits for the butterflies, because rotten fruits have alcohol in there. So it serves as an extra energy source for them, and also it helps to generate some alkaloids in their body, which helps in generating colors and hormones. And this house like thing here is called a bug hotel or a insect hotel. So where we put various logs and the pieces, bits and pieces of the wood. So it provides the sort of shelter to the insects, various insects like carpenter bees, ants, and other wasps. So so it's not only that you make sophisticated ones, also you can make your own, the easier one. Just take a box sort of thing and put some the wooden logs in it and make some holes and crevices there. So this link, you can take a snapshot or you can write it down. So this link will take you to the host plants of the butterflies of India. So you can Google the name of the butterflies of your area, and you can, with the help of this link, you can notice you can make a list of the host plants of the butterflies, and then plant those host plants in your garden. So it helps to insects to maintain their population. So moving on, there are many other things you should know. Some misconceptions, myths, and the illegal wildlife trade. So, the first misconception I'd like to talk about. People often take grains and feed pigeons, the rock pigeons, the commoners inside the city. So actually, they are like pests. They spread many disease, especially the disease of the lungs and all. So don't feed them. It helps to increase their population beyond the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. So what it does, it they like, we all know they spread disease, but also it suppresses the other bird which share the same kind of resources, like sparrows, Indian silverbills, other doves. So they suppress their population also. And so the other myth is like, many of I have seen many people wearing necklaces and rings of tiger claw or tiger teeth or lion teeth, and etc etc. So this don't have any effect on your health or wealth. So please don't do it. By doing it, you are encouraging the poaching and hunting of the wild animals. And also, I have seen many people. What they do, they make a necklace of the turtle shell, and they'll put uh, it on the neck of their kettles. They say, okay, it saves uh, my kettle from the bad negative energies and all. So there is nothing like that. Moving on. So there, in some part of Rajasthan in northern India, what they do, they take this snake. It is called a red sand boa. So they have a belief that if we bury a live sand boa uh, beneath the house will be protected from negative entities for lifelong. So it is not like that. And this one here is striped hyena. So people often like, whenever people spot it, they tend to kill it with the sticks or the guns, because they take the sighting as a bad luck. They call it the vehicle of the witches, which is not true. And in case of birds, like you see there, these are Indian eagle owls. So what poachers do, they start collecting the owls from the wild before a month or two before the Deepavali, and when the festival starts, they start selling it to uh, the pandits or the tantrics. And what they do, they take the owl inside your home and they do some ritual, and then they kill it, and they say, okay, this is a vehicle of goddess Lakshmi. So I we have killed the we have destroyed the vehicle, so Lakshmi cannot leave our house or home. So sorry, anyone wants to ask anything? Or so okay. So this thing happens with the owls, and often the snake charmer or the I'll give you please my
Hello, can't hear you.
okay. Uh,
I just wanted to add here one thing, Akshay. Can you
yeah,
hear
yeah,
me?
please. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I have got a huge family of barn owl
Okay,
staying somewhere in the building that I stay in. So
okay.
it's also important not to disclose the location of their so-called nest to
Yeah,
each and every one, only to those who are genuinely interested in birds and they know the repercussions of
yeah,
pointing out where they are staying. Thank you.
yeah. That's very important point. Thank you. Yeah. So moving on. So I was talking about the snake charmers. What they do, they ask you for some money, and then they tell you, okay, I'll give you snake money or the snake gem, and it will give you the prosperity and the health and all. So actually they fool you. What they do, they cut the dorsal side of the snake's head, and they put a stone in that, and then they seal the hole with the febiquick or some adhesive, and then they cut that slit which already have been made and sealed. So they cut it and the stones come out, and they give you for a huge price. So please don't believe on such superstitions that you will be prosperous after killing any animal. And other large scale wildlife trade is going on in reptiles, other reptiles also like turtles. So these this one is here is star tortoise, Indian star tortoise. So people also take this as a sign of prosperity because they think it's some kind of related, somewhat related with goddess Lakshmi. So they pet the turtles, and then they actually don't know how to feed it, what its behavior, and it dies out of stress and all the lack of food. And this one here is like also most one of the most horrifying sort of a story. These uh, can you see? Can everyone see my cursor, the pointer?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, it is visible.
So
Yes, it is.
this this one here, this is called monitor lizard, Varanus Bengal monitor lizard, basically. So there is a plant, a very rare medicinal plant called Hatha Jodi, which is found in the Himalayas and the foothills, and it's very rare. And its root is supposed to be a very medicinal kind of thing in uh, various uses. So what they do, they catch the monitor lizard, and then they will roast it alive in the fire. What happens when they roast them? The penis of the lizard, which is called as baby penis, comes out, and then they cut it and then they sell it by the name of Hatha Jodi. Charge you a lot. So there is food and eat selling of Hatha Jodi. So please don't buy such things. And if you see someone selling it, please inform the local concerned authority, any NGO or wildlife department. So yeah, this one here, the next lizard, is called spiny-tailed lizard, and many of you have heard about the oil which is called as uh, sande ka tel. This is the oil which is made from lizard. So what they do, they cook lizards in the oil, and then they store that oil, and then sell it to you by telling various medicinal properties of it. So please don't buy that. The next one, these bags are carrying of the which is actually as most trafficked animal in the world, the mammal. So their scales are sold as for Chinese and Unani medicines, and then the rest of the body is sold in the meat markets, edible. And next, also we all know, I think, the skin of various animals like leopards, tigers, and even otters. This one here is otter. So the skin is called the pelt. So pelt is also trafficked in very large quantity, and it is used in uh, like the fashion products like shoes, bags, and all. And also, like all of the parts of the animal are sold as in for various uses, for medicines, for some rituals. So please don't believe on those kind of things. As we know, like we can see these rhino, they are cutting the horn of the rhino, which is sold as like antique piece or for the Chinese or Unani medicines. And this one here is the beak of hornbill, in particular the helmeted hornbill, and it is sold as an antique piece. As you can see, they have made patterns in that, and they will sell it at as a show piece. And this one we all know, the tusks of the elephants, which we call as ivory. It is also used in various showpieces and medicines, and also in some musical instruments. So there is an instrument called sarangi. So traditionally, it uses ivory in it, the white thing which we see on the surface. And these painting brushes are made out of the hairs of the mongoose. So if you see any shop is selling hairbrushes which are like this, means they have black and gray stripes in it, and to confirm that they are the animal products, you buy one and then you take it at your home and then burn it. So it will smell like a burning hair, and you will quickly recognize, okay, that's the mongoose hairbrush only. Then you can tell any NGO or wildlife department about that shop. Okay, that shop is selling these things. Please do the needful. And so this is also one of the horrible stories in case of wildlife trade. So this baby elephant is being trained for circus. What we see on the stage is the first picture, that is the elephant is dancing with happiness and then it is playing with balls and humans. But the truth behind this is the picture which is shown below, where uh, it is being tied, it has been tied down and it is being beaten up. So this process of the training of the young elephants is called as fajan. Fajan is probably an Arabic or Urdu word, so which means the breaking of the soul. So what they do, they steal the baby elephants from mothers, and then they tie down them for a long. They don't provide food, they don't provide them water, they beat them up with the bull hooks so that they can overpower over them, and then they train them for the circus or the various, various religious practices. As you see, elephants are used in the rallies and all, which are being done on by some temples and all. So don't support this thing also. If you see any elephant with any baba or sort of thing, please inform it to any NGO like Wildlife SOS, TSA, or directly inform your local wildlife department. Moving on. So this one is the sorry. This one is the red coral, which is sold as a gemstone. Yeah, many of you would have seen this type of ring, the Munga ring, which we call commonly. So it comes to you after killing the whole colony of the coral, and it does nothing. So please don't buy it or don't support these type of superstitions. Also, the pearl necklace, it also comes to you after a large scale poaching of many clams, and many of them are endangered. So don't use any animal products. So now you should also know about the Wildlife Protection Act. So it is the act which was deployed in 1972 by the government of India. So it describes the the kind of governmental definitions of animals, various kind of animals, and it also helps to the experts to decide about the wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, and aquatic biodiversity parks and zoological parks, etc. And also it provides protections to many endangered species. Like the few pictures I'll show you, these animals comes under Schedule 1. So there are, I think, 4 schedules of Indian Wildlife Act. So Schedule 1 is the most critically endangered ones, which are protected. For example, the tiger is under in Schedule 1. So these are few examples. The blue whale, which is a mammal, it is under Schedule 1. The next one is a gaur, sometimes called as Indian bison. It is also under Schedule 1. The next one is a black bug. We all know it's a famous story of a celebrity and the poaching. So this is also under Schedule 1. And this is a pied hornbill. The Accipitas means the shikra and other hawks. This one or osprey. So like basically not only those animals who are protected by Wildlife Act, but also other animals are nowadays endangered. Like the most common names which I am taking again and again, the Indian silver bills and the Munia groups or avid group. So they are also endangered because not much research is being done in India, not much data is being collected. So don't take it as okay, this one is endangered, so I'll not hurt it, but I'll catch other birds which are not listed under Scheduled Species or Wildlife Protection Act. So don't do that also. So Often people think, okay, large animals and other taxa are only protected, but some other small taxa like insects which have small organisms, the insects and butterflies, they are also protected. Like this one, here is a common crow. It is under Schedule 1. And this is a common pirate. It is also in Schedule 1. This is the other one is a common guava blue. It is also under Schedule 1. And various other things except the citizen science platforms. So what else you can do to contribute from your side in biodiversity conservation, etc.? Don't pet any birds. So although in India it is illegal to pet any Indian bird, but I also want to add that none species, whether it is exotic or not, none species should be pet or sold. So don't pet any bird or any like the other taxa, except you can always pet the stray dogs because they are often threat to the the biodiversity. So don't pet the birds and all. Don't support wildlife trade by any means. Don't buy animal products. Don't believe in superstitions, and contribute in scientists in collecting data and all through various indirectly through citizen science platforms or directly with indulging with them. Build bird houses, do insect gardening, and this picture where you can see a huge building. So this is also another important point. Often people put the reflecting window pans, the mirror reflecting mirrors on their window frets. So please don't do it. What it does, it kills lots and lots of birds annually. So because these mirrors are reflecting, so birds get confused whether it is a open sky or there is any obstacle in the route. So they hit that building and then they die. Also, sometimes our party becomes a torture for other animal, as we know that animals have increased more sensitive senses as compared to human beings. So always keep noticing that. Also, don't play loudspeakers too loudly and don't uh, encourage it. It disturbs biodiversity. And also the kite, we with the way we fly kites and all. So the threats of the kite also are the threat for the birds. As you can see, this robin is uh, tied down to this thread of the kite. So please don't uh, fly kites also. And this one, these shoes is made up of python skin. Again, don't use animal products. And also uh, emphasize and focus on natural resource management. So can anyone tell me how you can accomplish this one, the natural resource management thing, uh, in lockdown? Like you are locked down to at your home. So how can you do natural resource management? Can any participant suggest me a few things? How you think you can do natural resource management?
We can feed the
Uh,
birds with seeds and water.
Okay.
uh, can I speak?
Yeah, yeah. Sure.
Can I speak?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
What we can do is that we can give back to the soil whatever kitchen waste we have. We should be composting it, if not with the help of worms, because they may not be available, even
Yeah.
otherwise by just putting them and mixing them a little bit now and then with soil. And I think by the end of 3 months, during this lockdown, whatever green waste or vegetable waste that you collect, it'll turn into manure and you can give it back to the soil.
Yeah, thank you for adding these important points. So other things I would also like to mention, which we often forget, but we know them since our childhood. We know to save water. It has been taught to us since our childhood. But what we do when we go in the morning in the washroom, and when we then we open the shower, and when then we bath for say half an hour or an hour. So don't do that. Try to conserve the water, save the rainwater harvesting, and try adopting the habit of bathing through the bucket. For say what I have done, I have practiced this thing, and now I can bath properly with less than one bucket of water, including the shampoo and the conditioner and all. So I mean these things sounds very basic, but people don't pay attention to that. Another example from your washroom only. So many of us use these face wash scrubs. They have small beads in them. So many of them have the plastic beads. They are not detergent or any kind of soap which are going to be dissolved. They are plastic beads. They ultimately go to our aquatic ecosystems, and they damage the health of the ecosystem. And other things like don't emphasize on the use of plastics and all, save water. And other things also which I have told you earlier: bird house, bird feeders, insect gardening. So I designed this webinar, a very basic webinar, focusing on the present day scenario, like we are under lockdown. So what common people can do to as as a part of their contribution towards the nature. So this was all for this webinar, and now I am open for the questions. If any questions participants have, any other query regarding to any other text or any other field of wildlife.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
We can use leftover food as like bite or uh, a little bit bites of chapatis to feed birds or animals so that they can uh,
Yeah,
and
that
particularly uh, by reducing waste we can use that food.
and one other important point I would like to add in this, like uh, don't uh, pet any exotic species of dog or cat. Try to pet your stray animals only. So sort of adopt them and take them to your home and pet them only, because what they do, these stray animals, they disturb the natural ecosystem of the wildlife. Many of the wild species are under threat uh, because of these stray animals, especially the dogs. You can, in the Google and other social media platform, you will find many video where dogs are shown as a threat to the wildlife. You will see dogs are chasing deer, or uh, dogs, for example, in case of the bird called Indian skimmer and other shore birds, their population is declining because a major cause of that is the stray dogs only. They go on the shores, and then they catch the birds. They destroy the nests. So please try to pet these stray animals only. And if you have budget and all, you can also try to do the vasectomy of the dogs.
Can I see?
Akshay,
Yes, ma'am.
Akshay, there is a
Hello?
question from Dr. Nade that she said you rightly pointed out the problem of urban pigeons. They just dominate and do not let other birds to feed grains. How can it
Yeah.
be controlled?
See, if you want the authentic evidences, leave your email ID and I will send you some papers and all. And otherwise, if you are living in a city, you can see you may not spot other common birds so frequently, but they are very common and they are very large in number. So, and they share the same resources with other birds. Like they feed on grains, many other birds like sparrow, other doves, and the silverbill and all, they also feed on the same resources. Since the population of the pigeons are uh, above the carrying capacity, so they are as a threat for other birds.
I wanted to put one point here.
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, sure.
What I have been practicing for the past 3 or 4 years is that I used to notice that in the summers, the hedge used to be completely infested by larvae of some insect. And before I occupied this area, the gardener used to come and used to spray insecticide to get rid of it. But then I stopped this practice and I saw that the population of the insectivorous birds that now visit my garden have increased, and also the infestation is quite under control. So
Yeah,
we can also practice biological control rather than depend on these chemical insecticides and all. We should look
yeah,
out for that natural kind of thing.
yeah. This is a very important point. So I was going to discuss about it in the other upcoming webinar. So let it be. Okay. So there was a study in the case of sparrow, why their population are declining and all. So they found that there is nothing connection with the mobile towers or the internet towers, which we think that they are making them sick and they forget the roots and all. It is nothing been proven regarding this thing. So what the researchers uh, concluded that it is because of our changing lifestyle. Earlier, it used to be open sort of houses, which we had many holes and crevices in our houses. So house sparrow used to thrive there. We didn't use insecticides. So the soft larvae of the insects are the major part of the diet of the sparrow chicks. So pesticides also are the threats, and yeah. So this was the
One
point.
one more input I wanted to give that because we're talking about role of citizen in biodiversity. So
Yeah,
also I've seen that these designer gardens are also a cause of, those spick and span, neat looking and everything picked up from the ground, not a leaf out of place or drop down. Those are
yeah,
also a cause of declining biodiversity. I think we should leave, these natural ecological niches here and there for
yeah,
the biodiversity to flourish.
yeah. Thank you. As I have mentioned earlier, focus on the native species of the plants. Don't try to be very fancy. Don't try to put plant fancy trees and showy plants in your garden. Focus on the native trees only.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks, Akshay. Yeah, is there audible?
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks, Akshay, for such an interesting talk. I have certain points to highlight and discuss. First of all, when we talk about the use of animal products, so they should be checked at the level of production, sale, and purchase. Because even if I stop purchasing, or if someone is producing, other can buy, or even if it is sold, many of them can be allowed. So they should be checked at 3 levels. That is the production from the animal products, second is the sale of the animal products, and third is the purchase. Of course, a common citizen should be promoted not to purchase. And here, if I'm talking to common citizen, that's fine. Second thing is many of the products, many of the animal products, they are being produced only with the purpose, commercial purpose. For example, when we talk about the pearl culture, in the pearl culture, if we are artificially culturing the pearl, is it also not be consumed or used by the producers? That is another thing. Then is there an international consortium for the wildlife or the biodiversity? Because I've seen in many of the countries, the animal products are freely used, freely sold, for example, and there's really atrocity to the animal. I was in Durban, South Africa. There in the common market, you can find the skin of animals, you can see the paintings of butterflies, they can create on the spot, they can create some lock rings of some rare insects. So that is one thing. Same way I was in Bangkok, there were shows, there were a zoo in fact dedicated where the animals are given sedatives, and then you can have a picture with python, some of the fancy pictures. So that is really a cruelty, and I don't think is there a, and it is run by the state. It is public. It's not hidden. So internationally also there should be some rules, some checks, some balances to do this. So that I really want to know if there is any international efforts. One more thing I want to know about when we talk about the pets. A stray dog, adoption of a stray dog is very, very interesting, because in that way we can really focus on the biodiversity. But keeping pet is a fashion these days. Earlier it used to be dog, now it is cat also, guinea pigs, birds, and all these things. So, and it is a one full-fledged flourished industry, keeping the pet, and it's a passion. So how can it be checked at the level? So these are 2 or 3 points I want to get a clarification.
So I would like to answer your first question, that is there any international efforts made for these trades? Yeah, there are many efforts. Like there is a plan called Traffic, which is run by some international organizations and WWF India. So it controls the trafficking of the animal, and many other like CMS, the CMS and all, many NGOs and all. So they are doing their efforts in controlling the wildlife trade. And India also have a treaty with many international organization in case of uh, the for the prohibition of wildlife trade in India or from India. So I'll share some data on that also with you.
Akshay, some more questions are coming on this.
Yeah.
One participant is asking about the stray dogs, which you mentioned about.
Yeah.
He said, we understand this, but if you will suggest this idea at home, the family members will not accept our approach. They will say we should pet some good breed of dogs. So how you convince, how one can convince the family members? This is the question of the participant.
So, like, you can only try to make them aware of the harm they make in the natural ecosystem. Tell them about the importance of the ecosystem and all. Tell them that they are threat to natural ecosystem. They try to convince them. That's all you can do. You cannot, of course, fight with your family members. You can only
Can
try.
Yes, we can try, actually. Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanted to say something about the stray dogs. What I feel is that the stray dogs actually, of course, we have heard that, feeding dogs, even in, the Hindu religion, that it sort of, I don't know, paves the way to heaven or whatever. But what I feel is that this is a kind of celebrity bred fad, because they also, what they do is they go and they feed them outside, and but no one takes the stray dog in.
Yeah.
So this, I mean, we can sort of start a kind of a drive in which we can make use of celebrities themselves. If they adopt them, or they don't encourage overbreeding of these stray dogs, only then something can be done. Otherwise, feeding stray dogs and petting them outside your house only is just a fad, I feel. It's not genuine love or concern for this thing. It's
Yeah.
just fashionable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Regarding this, one suggestion come from Dr. Nidhi. She said that stray dogs can be taken care at society level outside the house in the common area of residential colonies.
So
But
it
but only if the remaining residents, they are okay with it. If the
Yeah,
other residents, and then you can bring the stray dog and feed the stray dog or whatever it is right in front of your house, but not anywhere in front of, because that is what is happening in most of the places, that people, like I live in Noida, which is divided into sectors. There are people who come in cars and they feed dogs right inside our sector, because in our sector it's really widespread and there is no check on it, check on feeding these stray dogs. So that kind of thing should be avoided. If you want to feed the stray dogs, if you want to look after them, do them right in front of your house or right in front of your area, and in consultation with the rest of the residents, because then you should also be prepared to pick up their poop or whatever they do. The total responsibility if you don't want to bring them in.
So this thing, the society level uh, take caretaking is not really 100% works. They, even then they disturb the birds in the society, in the parks and all. So
They drive away even ground breeding birds. I've seen
yeah,
dogs chase away lapwings,
yeah,
and
yeah.
of course, no more partridges here, but they drive them away or they eat away their chicks. So they definitely are not helping in,
So
leading to
that's
any
what
vaccination.
you have to bring them inside your house and pet them. And
Yes,
also,
adoption is done in many countries.
May I ask something?
yeah, sure.
yes, please.
Uh, a trend is noticed by experts. I have read it somewhere. Uh, Increase of rock pigeon in most part of Delhi. They seems to have almost replaced by sparrows that used to nest in the same places. So, can you suggest me some particular designs of nets so that only sparrows or small birds can use that nest?
Yeah, that is what I have told in this thing. Uh, the bird houses I have discussed it in this presentation was focused on the sparrows and other small birds only. So the key characteristic is the size of the entrance hole. So make it not more than a 2-inch diameter. So this is good for the sparrows and other small birds.
Actually, I just want to give one input. I tried I got some few, small bird houses made by a
Yeah.
carpenter. And then in 3 or 4 years, I realized that they just did not occupy those nest boxes. Then when I did further research, and then I came to know that they have to be facing a certain direction, because if it is that nest is exposed to direct sun rays throughout the day, the bird is not going to occupy. So we have to keep that also in mind, and also the availability of natural food in that area. Especially
Yeah.
if we want sparrows, we should be growing some, wheat or barley or something. One bed of it should be having that. We can increase the population of sparrow, and with the bird houses facing the right direction.
So yeah, the direction thing is like not always true for all the species. For the
Yeah.
sparrows, it is okay. And for the feeding purpose, you can always put the the barley and all around
Yeah.
in and around the nest, so that you can attract them, and then they will realize, okay, it is something where I can live. So like recently I have put bird houses, like 15 bird houses. So it has been more than a week, and none has been occupied. So you have to be patient sometime.
Patient.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
and sometimes it also happens that uh, they have a small local populations. So say in your neighboring colony there are a good population of sparrow, and but in your colony there is not. So what you should do, you should put the bird houses in that colony so that their local population increases and spreads in your colony also, and then you put the bird houses in your colony also.
That's a good idea.
That way
Yeah.
you keep on spreading the population of the sparrow throughout the town or the city, whatever. So
That's a wonderful idea.
yeah. So someone is asking what is the difference between a stray dog and exotic dog. So there are three things: stray dogs, exotic dogs, and native dogs. Native means the Indian species of dog, like Tibetan Mastiff and others. And
Hold.
the exotic ones are the the species from the abroad, like Labrador, Doberman, Golden Retriever, Saint
Hybrids also.
Bernard. And the stray dogs are those which roam freely in the society and in and around. So these are stray dogs. And
There is a question of Dr. Prabir Sinha. Akshay?
yes.
Uh,
So what?
Basically, it is a suggestion because illegal trade continues, and especially high in Yeshwant Place. At Yeshwant Place, there are shops selling furs of all animals. They cater to foreigners, mostly Russians. Do sites personnel ever conduct raids?
Okay.
Any
So
raids? Yes.
what you can do, you can tell any NGO, or you can yourself go and try to ask them, try to be with them very friendly, go to their shops often, buy some stuff also, so that you can be so friendly with them. Then you can ask them, okay, which bird is this? Is this Indian or not? And try to record video or audio secretly. Even I have done that. I have worked. I have collected some audios, videos from various shops in Delhi, and I have directly went to WCCB, that is Wildlife Crime Control Bureau head office, and then I gave them all the information. Then they have taken action. So there is nothing really which you can do on your own. You always have to be very legal, sort of, in these processes. You can tell the wildlife departments, or you.
So there is one question on Nilgai. I want to ask how one could tell if a species has become endangered or vulnerable. Also, if an animal like Nilgai becomes an agricultural menace, is there any provision in our government acts and policies which make it ethical to kill them or reduce their population?
So you always check on internet, like IUCN have divided them all in various categories. So you just put the name of the organism and you can see whether it is endangered or not. And also there is a scheduled species database which comes under the Wildlife Protection Act. So I'll try to give you the link. So you can go to wildlife species scheduled species database, and enter, and then you will find a site called WII-NVIS, and then you can find the whole list of the organism, not only birds but mammals, reptiles, and insects, which are protected by the Indian government.
Is
May I
there any
speak?
other question?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yes, please.
Actually, I want to know the name of NGOs because there incidentally animals are getting injured. I want to know the NGOs which can help them. Can you suggest me the names of NGOs?
There are like from where did you come? So you can always check the nearby NGOs on internet. Like for example, I can tell you about Delhi. There is an NGO called Wildlife SOS, and there are many other local NGOs like some TSA peoples are also there. Turtle Survival Alliance. The WCS is there, and more importantly, the WFF Wildlife. The WFF office is there. Sorry, the WWF office is there.
Thank you very
You can
much.
also
Thank you very
help.
Is there any other question?
One thing I just want to ask, Akshay, are there sufficient medical facilities, especially for the birds? I know in Delhi there is one for birds. There's a hospital, maybe in Chandni Chowk area. But are there, because many times the birds get some accidents because of the urban or some. So are there sufficient medical facilities for the
They have
treatment?
sufficient facility, but as I have told you about pigeons and all, so they try to avoid calls for the pigeons. So they have facilities. You can always call them, but they will avoid the call for the you know cases of pigeons and all.
So there is a question on the pigeons itself. How can we control the this is population of pigeons?
This is like make bird houses, means you have to do certain things which can help the other bird species additionally, like bird houses, bird feeders, like the bird feeders which we hang. So pigeons don't have habit of going to the hanging bird feeder and feeding on that. So I will emphasize on putting the hanging bird feeder instead of putting grains on your roof. So
Okay.
yeah, and put bird baths and all that.
So I think there is no more question. So
Oh, I have a question. I have.
yes,
May I
please.
ask? Uh, uh, can I ask about prevention of cruelty to animal? That means there are so many animal acts regarding the cruelty towards them. So may I ask about them?
Yeah, like this is same thing. Like you can always contact any NGO if you are seeing any mammal, especially is being tortured or anything. You can always call the Wildlife SOS. This is the leading NGO of India, which have controlled these things. They have taken bears and elephants and other animals out of the circus, and from the monkey dancers and deer dancers.
Yes.
So you can always contact to any NGO or government, uh, the government
Thank.
authority.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
for example, a couple of days back in Rajasthan, the hunters shot dead the deer. So some locals heard the sound of the bullet. So a 14-year-old boy went there and you know, it he took over with the poachers on his own, and so for that thing, like everybody is praising that boy. So don't have, what I mean to say, don't try to do that. It is often not safe. Just try to collect information secretly and then inform all those things to the concerned departments.
Okay, Akshay, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Akshay, we can also like whatever space is available outside our home, we can always develop a butterfly garden and help them survive and thrive by putting attractive flowers and plants.
Yeah, yeah.
And is it possible? Like, what all steps do we have to take for the butterflies to thrive around? It is
So
going to be of
actually,
great help.
yeah, I have discussed that thing also. We can focus on the native plants. Often people cut the weeds growing inside their gardens, various weeds like vernonia and chamomile and many other things.
Mhm.
So focus on weeds and also focus on some native attractive host plants. So you can get the information about host plants on this site
Hmm.
www.icon.org.
Okay,
So that way you
and
can make
we can. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, can you share this later on WhatsApp or whatever sites are available?
Yeah.
Because planting beautiful flowers and colorful ones is even good for us also. It's a treat to
Yeah.
the eyes also. And
Yeah,
one more thing.
I'll share this link.
Okay, okay. And if we all of us, if we try to make some place, because birds love shade. So
Yeah.
if we can help them thrive, yeah, or we put something which is shady, some cover or something of that sort with twigs only, they can come and we put a water, water bowl or whatever is possible for the birds to, especially during summers. I think they can come and thrive, and we put some grains of rice or whatever is possible for us. They definitely come, because I have seen this. The house sparrows are coming. There are so many in number, because we put what I told you, I shared with you, right? That I
Yeah.
have started doing this, and you will not believe there are so many of them
Yeah.
coming back.
So that
And
I have, and yes, it helps.
yes, it does help. And other things we would be including the use of eco-friendly products by us, and whatever GMO modified, like genetically modified plants are there for eating, like the vegetables and all, we can avoid them. This can also save the biodiversity, don't you think so?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
We can. Okay.
So
Sorry
Okay.
to interrupt. I want to ask a question.
yeah.
If a person has not that much space to grow something for butterflies, then do you have any suggestion for he or she person that what should he or she do?
Uh, Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat, please?
If a person have not that much space for butterflies, for growing something for butterflies, then what
Okay.
he or she can do for them?
So if you don't have a space for planting trees and plants, so at least you can take a bowl and you can provide a mud puddling site, or you can put some rotten fruits, put them near the gardens or the plantations where the butterflies do come.
I just wanted to give an input. Can I speak?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
A friend of mine who lives on the 13th floor in Mumbai, she just sent a photo of a butterfly who had laid eggs in the bryophyllum plant that she had put on her balcony. So
Yeah,
even if we put host plants of some of these butterflies or insects or whatever, And it is, I mean, it was really amazing that she got to see the whole process of the butterfly laying eggs and the larvae hatching out.
Yeah, that's what I told in this section of insect gardening. Put host plants and native plants so that you can help them.
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Even I have got many pictures from friends and colleagues. They have maintained a very like big garden on their terrace, and butterflies and insects do come there.
There is one more suggestion, I think. It appears that conservation of biodiversity is merely confined to academicians, but hardly any awareness created for an average citizen. Please, can you suggest some sensitization activities that can be carried out in your immediate neighborhood?
So you can create some fun activities, which in turn, develop the caring sense in the people. You can contact some NGOs and all. So I know a person. He's my senior colleague. So what he does that he creates a puzzle or any kind of a quiz sort of game which is concerned with the animals. So that way he creates awareness and all. He writes comics and all that. So like you can search on internet or you can always try to contact that NGO to create a an event in your colony.
Thank you, Akshay, for a wonderful and informative talk. I'm sure that the techniques shared by you for the conservation of biodiversity would encourage us to take steps in this direction and generate awareness among the masses. Today, we should all take a pledge that we will adopt at least one measure towards biodiversity conservation. We will try to develop at least one butterfly garden in our locality. I would like to thank Dr. Rajiv Agrawal, Principal, Deshbandhu College, Dr. Aditya Saxena, Coordinator, IQAC, and Dr. Indrakant K. Singh, Coordinator, DBT Star College Project, for all suggestions and moral support needed for conducting this workshop. My heartfelt thanks are also due to this wonderful audience. Their presence and the rounds of interaction made this workshop a great success. Thank you.
To for other webinars which will be more detailed. So they will focus on insects, mammals, reptiles, and the birds. So there will be separate webinars, 4 or 5 webinars. So like they will cover the basic introduction, the basic biology of an organism, the facts, stories, and the resource material and how to access it. Means they will be very detailed webinars. So whosoever wants to join them, so please respond me at my email ID. It's visible on your screen.